My next guest is Valerie Jarrett, the Chief Executive Officer of the Obama Foundation. She is the longest-serving senior advisor to United States President in history and is here to discuss her experiences as a woman whose career has included multiple high-level leadership positions. Welcome, Valerie.
Well, thank you, Julie. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Yeah, Valerie, just to start off with, like I said, you previously served as a senior advisor to President Obama, but I would love to hear what you noticed about women over 50 being in places of power in the workplace.
Well, what I've noticed is by the time you're 50, you've found your voice. You have proven yourself. I think there's a level of comfort and confidence that comes with experience and age. And so it gets better and better. I will say, in contrast to when I first started out, where I didn't feel like it was a level playing field and I didn't feel as though my voice was heard as seriously as perhaps my male counterparts. But with time, it got better.
Yeah, definitely. And we also hear a lot about the importance of having women of color over 50, women of color in general of all ages. But when we talk about the conversation of having women over 50 included in the conversation at the table, I think that certainly extends to women of color, or at least it should. Do you feel that there is enough, women over 50, women of color in the workplace in some of these leadership roles?
No, absolutely not. We still have a long way to go. And I guess I start with the basic premise that diversity is a strength, I think, in a global marketplace in which we're all competing for talent, for the human capital, that we want to get as much talent as possible and as much richly diverse perspectives as possible. I think leaders make better decisions if they're not just talking to people who sound like them, think like them, have their same life experiences. And so women and women over 50 and women of color represent a huge percentage of the marketplace. And I think, again, we add a richness to the conversation and the dialogue and improves decision making.
Absolutely. And, you serve on multiple boards. What's the view like for women over 50 from the C-suite?
Well, it's getting better. When I joined my first board 30 years ago, I was either the only or one of two. And now I have the privilege on serving on a board where all of the members of the audit committee are women. That is unprecedented. And there is safety in numbers. I think if you are the only one, whether you're the only woman, you're the only person of color, you tend to feel as though it's harder to be the advocate for issues, not just ones that are unique to yourself, but more broadly. And so my point being that there is safety in numbers. And I do think that as you do get older, the key isn't just to get a seat at the table. The key is to ensure that there are other seats that are joining you at the table. And one of the things I have really tried to do from the C-suite, from the boardroom, is ensure that we're building a pipeline both within the executive suite, the C-suite, but also on the board of talented people that reflect the rich diversity of the marketplace.
It seems that often in the workplace and in our society, younger women or women under 50 and women over 50 are oftentimes pitted against each other. I know you've spoken quite a bit about the importance of mentorship and how that's a two-way street. I would love to hear your thoughts on the importance of allyship between women of different ages in the workplace.
Oh, look, it's really important. When I was a young person in my career, I had an older woman who just, not only was she my mentor, but she was my sponsor, she was my advocate. She told me not what I wanted to hear, but what I needed to hear. She really enabled me to find my voice. And I couldn't have done it just with my peers. I needed somebody who was older and more experienced than I was to guide me through. And the experience that I had with her, that very close bond of relationship that formed, is what really motivated me throughout the rest of my career to try to do the same thing with younger women and I know what it's like to be in their shoes and I know what it's like to feel vulnerable and feel kind of lost and not sure that anyone's really looking out for you. And building those relationships with people who are older than you in an organization is really important. And I enjoy it because I learn a lot from the young people. I'm always asking them questions. And they're so much more savvy and worldly in a lot of ways than I could possibly be. And so it is a two-way street. And the fundamentals of it, Julie, is that it's based in a relationship. And I often say, look, your work product, that's table stakes. Everybody assumes you can do the work. What's really important is, are you building relationships founded in trust, which means you have to tell your story. You have to open up. You have to be vulnerable with people so that they will care about you. Nobody goes to bat for somebody just because of their work product, because if you're going to tie your reputation to another human being, you've got to know them. And that means open up and tell your story and ask questions about other people so that you're really forming a relationship.
Right, right. And what is the biggest piece of advice you could give to women under 50 or over 50?
Well, look, that your views matter, and don't be sensitive. I think sometimes I have been in work environments where the decibel of the male voices or their tone had a chilling impact. Or if I'd said something and someone didn't pay attention to me, and a few minutes later a guy says the same thing, my feelings would be hurt. And I think what I grew to appreciate more as I got older is it's not about me. It's about ensuring that the people who are the decision makers make the best possible decisions. And so whether I am in an operating position or a staff position, my view is to try to be like a sponge, get as much information as possible, and fight for my ideas. And it doesn't mean you win every fight, but at least make sure that you're in the game.
Right.
And
Well,
you can't. And the final thing I'd say, don't put a brick on your own head. I think sometimes the tendency is to get a little intimidated, and there are no dumb questions. You have to get so comfortable in your own skin that you develop an ability to be resilient and advocate for yourself and advocate for others.
Right, right. Well, Valerie Jarrett, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate it.